Welcome to worship at Mount Hollywood, where the microphone is not where I am, so I will move. Welcome. We're glad you're here. Okay. This is impromptu, as you can tell. We're happy to welcome Reverend Jude Johnson with us again this Sunday. They've been with us through most of August, guiding us through the parables and helping us improve both our internal gardens and our gardens at home. Are there any announcements? One.
Good morning. Two very quick announcements, actually. The first one is a reminder to our congregation that September 7th is our annual homecoming service. We all look forward to seeing everybody here in a wonderful celebration, a reunion. Nice opportunity for everyone to catch up with one another. Second announcement is a conversation we had been having offline this week concerning a joint barbecue or luncheon service with our neighbors at the Lutheran Church. They have graciously accepted our offer of Sunday, October the 5th, which is also, if I remember correctly, Blessing of the Animals. So, 3 announcements. I guess I just made that. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Juan. 3 minutes ago, he didn't have any announcements, so it's good we stopped him at 3. Are there any announcements online? Right. Are there any? Would someone like to ring the bell? Chris, go for it. Thank you. Please join me in the responsive call to worship printed in the bulletin. Beware of those interested in politeness over justice. Beware of those interested in image over solidarity. Beware of those interested in status quo over liberation. Beware of those interested in comfort over transformation. Beware of those interested in personal gain over mutuality, for the living God is unswayed by the logic of empire. She is unmoved by the appeals of oppressors. She weaves us together toward collective freedom. She is wily and gentle. She is radical and compassionate. With us, she does not back down. The opening hymn is number 476, verses 1, 3, and 4. Please join me in the unison gathering prayer. Holy cultivator of hope, awaken us to the work that is ours to do in our communities, our homes, and our hearts. Invite us towards what needs to be transformed. Release with us what needs to be released. Tend with us what needs to be tended. Move your love through our relationships of care with one another. Where there is complacency, ignite our dreams for a better world. Amen. We are invited to feast at the table of God's shalom, to seek the well-being and the wholeness of all creation. Peace for our bodies, peace for our souls, peace in our relationships, peace in our world. May the peace of Christ be with you, and also with you. Let us share the sign of peace with one another.
Okay. Well, there's no little ones here, but does anyone want to come sit up front? I'll do kind of like a mini recap, what I would have done. So for you young at heart, I hope you'll enjoy this. I saw a butterfly in my yard the other day. It was huge. And it's really easy to forget when not seeing it in person how delicate they look. Thin, wispy, flappy, bright, gorgeous. They're so small, so delicate, and when they flap their wings, it doesn't seem like much. But scientists say that one tiny flap of a butterfly's wings can help change the air, and in ways over time might even affect the weather far away. Sometimes we call this the butterfly effect. It reminds us that small things matter. So sometimes we think, I'm just one person. What I do doesn't really change anything, but for the last few weeks, these parables have shown us over and over again that the little things can have a huge impact. Any Survivor fans in the house? Anybody else watch Survivor? No, just me? Okay. Used to. So they would have these physical challenges, right? But sometimes they would have these puzzles that they'd have to do instead. There was one where it was maybe 20, 30 feet, a whole plank, and you had to set up all of the dominoes. And you had to make it so that when you touched the first domino, the last one fell at the end. And if it didn't, then you had to start all over again. So this image of like tapping the dominoes, just that one tap, it knocks over the next, and the next, and the next, and they all fall, showing how just one tiny little action can have this huge impact. Another one that my partner, who's a teacher, often finds in her classroom, a tiny little shake of a glitter bottle. Suddenly there's glitter everywhere, and it never goes away. I like to say that glitter sticks everywhere that the Spirit does. So sometimes that helps with the trouble of looking at the glitter and, but just that tiny little action, that glitter could be there forever. So to think about it today, those tiny actions, one kind word, can change someone's whole day, right? One act of sharing can start a chain of kindness. One prayer or intention, whispered even quietly, can bring a day into focus. So the butterfly flapping its wings teaches us, never think you're too small to make a difference or change the course of history. Your kindness, your love, your prayers, they ripple out into the world farther than you can see.
So following a soloist this week was a lot of fun. So many people were out of town. I wanted to get Julia in. Unfortunately, she was called at the last second to go to a memorial for another memorial for her family. And she just got back from Europe somewhere. Anyways, my wife is out. There were a lot of people who I tried to reach out to and were not available. So we're doing a hymn sing today. And there was a request from Carmen, and I couldn't find the number. Well, yes, it is. What's it called again?
What's for every man and nation?
I just can't find it.
Find it in the index.
Okay, we'll keep looking. In the meantime, we have all these hymns that we could do. For example, Hark the Herald Angels Sing is in here. 42, thank you. Oh, for 1,000 tongues? We'll do that one. Think of your next request. Thank you. Which one? 476. 476. For those who are at home, we'll send you a hymnal soon. Did that one? That's okay.
But it was fun.
We could do the verse we didn't do before. 451. Number 4. That's before 451. 402. This is fun. Who needs soloists? Just because they're talented. Hold on. Yeah? One more? Okay. Do we know the words? Wait, is it in here? Let's check one. I don't see it. Do you? No? Thank you, everyone.
The reading is from the book of Matthew, chapter 13, verses 33 to 35 and 54 to 58. He told them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like yeast that a woman took and mixed in with 3 measures of flour until all of it was leavened. Jesus told the crowd all these things in parables. Without a parable, he told them nothing. This was to fulfill what had been spoken through the prophet. I will open my mouth to speak in parables. I will proclaim what has been hidden from the foundation of the world. He came to his hometown and began to teach the people in their synagogue, so that they were astounded and said, "Where did this man get this wisdom and these deeds of power? Is this not the carpenter's son? Is not his mother called Mary? And are not his brothers James and Joseph and Simon and Judas? And are not all of his sisters with us? Where then did this man get all this?" And they took offense at him. But Jesus said to them, "Prophets are not without honor except in their own country and in their own house." And he did not do many deeds of power there because of their unbelief. Here ends the reading.
Okay, so enjoying the parables, enjoying and processing them. It's a mixed bag, right? I love them because they're full of metaphors, layers. You compare one thing to another, and suddenly you see something new. But it can also be a lot, right? All those layers. For some folks, it's easier to just walk down one road of meaning at a time. And for others, maybe you're like me, you want to go down all the roads at once. So because I can often be of the latter, I hope you'll stay with me this morning. I hope it'll all make sense in the end. So back in high school, another member of the school choir that I was in for 4 years, her name was Mahal. I remember the first time I met her, recognized that she was Filipino, and wondered what her parents were trying to convey when they gave her that Tagalog name. See, this one word in Tagalog, mahal, has multiple English translations depending on the context. And in English, it's a distinctly different word for each context. And Tagalog, at least in my house, generally use the same version of the same word in any of those contexts, mahal. See, mahal is an adjective. In some instances, it can pertain to cost. To say something at the store is mahal is a way of noting how expensive it is, how costly it is. But if you say, mahal na mahal kita, that translates to English as, I love you so much. Yet even that in English doesn't really capture the full meaning. The same exact phrase can also come across as it does to me, you are so precious to me. It can be a term of endearment that you can call another, like you might say dear or beloved or love or babe. It can also describe a treasured or prized possession. In that way, instead of costly, almost to say priceless. So I imagine perhaps what my schoolmates' parents thought when they named her. Because if I were them, I imagine there would be no other word to describe that newborn child. Expensive for sure. The hospital bills, the cost of raising a child, but also precious, beloved, worthy of a world that might love her for who she authentically is. It's interesting when a single word can be so many different things depending on the context. Language speaks uniquely to a time, a place, a norm. And the word itself is changed by its encounter with the context. And in that same way, we are changed by our encounters with place and time. So place and time matters in our text here too. Jesus says, the kingdom of heaven is like yeast a woman mixed into flour until it worked all through the dough. Now, if you've ever baked bread, or really baked anything, you know it's never obvious if bread or a cake or a donut or a pretzel is going to rise. Recipes always have qualifiers. Well, if the room is warm enough, it'll take 1 hour to rise, but if it's the winter time, maybe extend it to 3 or 4. Maybe you use dry yeast or instant yeast or sourdough starter. Maybe you kneaded it too much or not enough. You just don't know sometimes. But bakers will tell you, the more often you bake, the more you learn to recognize the dough by trial and error, by touch and feel, by noticing what works. That's how you'll know, by interacting with it in a place and time. So just a tiny pinch of yeast can transform an entire bowl of flour with the right time and context. Without it, you don't get bread, you get a brick, a cracker that might break a tooth. Sometimes it's that small yeast of encouragement that can help one find their calling. Sometimes it's the small yeast of a single donor or patron that launches a nonprofit that saves lives. And sometimes it's the absence of yeast, maybe someone who doesn't come through, that leaves us with a heavy, hard brick to swallow. We are changed by these experiences. And the bread of our lives is changed by the yeast that gets worked in. And once it rises, things will never be the same as they were yesterday, as they were before. So later in this passage, Jesus returns home to Nazareth. And his experience really captures that old saying, you can't go home again. Of course, you can physically go home, but the phrase means something deeper, that both you and your home have been changed. And it's difficult to try to return to what was. So when Jesus comes rolling back into town, people are confused. They see him teaching with wisdom and power, and they're like, wait a minute, this is Joseph's son, right? Don't we know him? Don't we know his brothers? Don't we know his family? Didn't we see him playing out? They expect him to be the same person that he was when he left. But he isn't. He's grown, he's changed, he's made community, he's met friends, and the world around him has also changed. The tragedy is, they couldn't accept that. They missed the important message right in front of them because it came in a familiar package. They couldn't see how he and they had both been changed by time and place. So here's the part where I hope to bring it together. Maybe parables are like the word mahal, full of layers, full of meaning that shifts with context. Maybe our lives are like bread yeast, hidden, ordinary, almost invisible, but it rises, it grows, it transforms everything it touches. And maybe the story of Jesus in Nazareth reminds us that life doesn't stand still. We're changed by being alive in this moment, and this moment is changed by our presence in it. We won't get this moment in time back. So how do we want to make the most of it? Don't underestimate the small flap of your butterfly wings. Your small word, your small act of love, it can ripple out farther than you'll see. And this moment in time in our history won't come again. So what do you do to add your yeast and let this rise? This moment won't come again. Let it rise. So I'll say the first part and you say the second. This moment won't come again. And you say, let it rise. This moment won't come again. One more time together. This moment won't come again. Let it rise. Amen? Okay, now, if you'll join me in our common prayer using the words that are most meaningful for you. Our Creator, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Small things make a difference, and our offerings, small or not small, of time, talent, and treasure will enrich our community. The offering will now be received. Please join me in the unison prayer of dedication. Generous Spirit, delight with us, dance with us, dream with us. Take our offerings and co-create communities that honor the wisdom of all of us, not just some of us.
Friends, thank you for graciously and warmingly and so lovingly welcoming me to this space for the last few weeks. It's been a while since I've been to the same church every Sunday, since I'm usually traveling to different churches. So it's been such an amazing experience to be here with you. And I'd like to take the last few weeks and offer a closing prayer. God of small seeds and hidden yeast, we thank you for this moment, for the ways you change us and for the ways we change the world. Help us not to miss the power of the ordinary. Help us to rise in love, to rise in courage, and to rise in hope, because this moment won't come again, so we let it rise. And as we leave this place, friends, may the small flap of your kindness stir great winds of healing. May the pinch of your courage rise into loaves that feed the hungry. May the word of love on your lips become a song that cannot be silenced. Go in peace. Amen.